it's another swing and a miss for ESPN, the network that markets themselves as the worldwide leader in sports. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, the PGA, tennis, UFC, and the last I checked, the NHL still considered a sport. Not only that, when the NHL decided to enter this one-sided marriage with ESPN a few years ago, ESPN promoted themselves as the home of hockey. Yeah, it sounded nice, had a nice ring to it, sounded like a match made in heaven. Problem is, ESPN didn't tell the NHL where they would be living in this home. They're not cuddled up in the master bedroom, tag-teaming the woke wiener with Stephen A. Smith. Hell, the NHL is so irrelevant to ESPN, they are not even allowed in the guest bedroom. The so-called worldwide leader in sports has the NHL buried in the bottom of the woke dungeon, sharing filthy accommodations with legendary figures like Max the Kellerman. When the NHL signed this broadcast deal with ESPN, they were promised growth in the sport of hockey. We are going to bring hockey to the masses. We are here to help grow the National Hockey League. Oh, really? ESPN's treatment of the NHL kind of reminds me of how we're all treated by these big banks and these retirement programs supposedly designed to benefit us. We have been programmed to believe that throwing our money into a 401k IRA is the best way to build wealth. All these so-called experts have convinced us that putting money in a qualified retirement plan is the best decision for you. It seems to me, banks, the government, they are the ones who benefit the most. They have your money locked away for decades, and if you ever want to access your money too soon, you get penalized. Luckily, there's a better option available. Have you ever wondered where the super wealthy keep their money? Guys like Walt Disney, J.C. Penney, Ray Kroc, even Donald Trump. They use what my friends at Patriots for Prosperity call the Liberty Asset. Been around for over 150 years, never failed to turn a profit. Matter of fact, Walt Disney, he used this fund to build Disneyland because banks wouldn't loan him the money. Instead of having the bank's best interest in mind, my friends over at Patriots for Prosperity, they have your best interest in mind. They will help you find the best place to warehouse your wealth. And the best part is, you will always have access to your money and it grows tax-free. I will be using the Liberty Asset and the infinite banking concept myself. The gentlemen over at Patriots for Prosperity, they will guide me along the way. I encourage you guys to do the same. Go to www.thelibertyasset.com/behind-the-line to see if the Liberty Asset is right for you. All right. Yesterday morning, Michael Kay, he took a break from his struggling radio show on ESPN Radio that's not drawing ratings to join Molly Qerim and Stephen A. Smith on Woke Take, another show that's struggling to draw ratings. Hey, Stevie, it's me, Mike KK. My ratings suck. Your ratings suck. Let's join forces and suck together. Molly Qerim, she asked an exciting question, a question that dozens of people were salivating to know the answer to. Hey, KK, it's me, Molly Q. Which sports team in New York will be the next to win a championship? I think I speak for the other 49 states in the country when I say, who fucking cares? When is the last time a team from New York actually won a championship? I think it was the Giants. What was that, 10 years ago? Anyway, the question was given to Michael Kay. He gave an honest answer, but his response failed to resonate with Molly Q and Stephen A. You see, Michael Kay, he was speaking English. As you guys know, the Q and the A, they are only fluent in the filthy language of wokeism. Watch for yourself.
Some good news.
I have a good one. I think it's an interesting one. Which team in New York do you think wins a championship next?
Rangers. Oh, Lord. Come on, Patrick Kane is able.
They don't count. Take
They
them
don't
out.
count.
They don't count.
Only thing I know about hockey is that the puck is black.
Okay.
And I love Gary Bettman. That's my buddy who I owe a trip to a hockey game.
Right.
That's it.
This clip sparked a lot of outrage with fans of the NHL. The NHL, they might not have the biggest audience in sports, but I will give their fan base credit. Hockey fans are some of the most passionate fans in sports. People who watch the NHL, they love it. They are dedicated to the league. But like we talked about yesterday, oftentimes passionate fans, they lack the ability to be objective. When I first saw this clip, I didn't understand the outrage. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm not going to go as far as Stephen A and say that hockey doesn't count, doesn't matter, but let's be real here for a second. For the vast majority of people, and especially people watching ESPN, they do not care about the NHL. If you were to ask them which New York team will be the next to win a championship, most casual sports fans, they're going to say the Yankees. Some will say the Giants, maybe a handful will show some love to the Mets. If they wanted to inject humor into their answer, they would say the Jets. Now, if you were to ask 1,000 casual sports fans, I would imagine less than 2%, maybe less than 1%, would respond back with the Rangers or the Islanders. And that's not me taking shots at the NHL. It's just the truth. At this point last season, the NHL was averaging 478,000 viewers. Right now, down to 373,000, down 22% in 12 months. I'm sure it didn't help that the NHL was baptized and born again this past offseason. They re-emerged from that filthy brown water, proclaiming to the world how proud they were to be a born-again shitfuck. The NHL has boasted about their dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They have sponsored transgender hockey tournaments where teams filled with men claiming to be women dominate the biological women so badly they had to implement the mercy rule. When comparing television ratings in the NHL, the media, they don't compare them to the NBA. They definitely don't compare them to the NFL. I read one article this morning where they were bragging about the NHL dominating Major League Soccer in the ratings. If Michael Kay had responded to this question by saying the New York, whatever the fuck their soccer team is called, would be the next to win a championship, and Stephen A. Smith said that doesn't count, soccer doesn't count, do you think there would be any outrage? I doubt it. In the perception of the casual sports fan, the NHL is on par with Major League Soccer. Again, that is not my opinion, that's just what is. Which is why initially, I did not understand all of this outrage directed at Stephen A. Smith and ESPN. But then, I got to thinking. ESPN quietly claims to be the home of the NHL, but they loudly and proudly claim to be the home to something else. I'm not talking about the NBA. I'm not talking about the SEC or the college football playoff. ESPN's happy to have those, but the promotion of it, it's not in your face. However, ESPN damn sure pushes the dump divers of the WNBA straight into your face. Why? When you look at this on paper, it doesn't make any sense. The so-called worldwide leader in sports pays $400 million every year for the rights to broadcast the NHL regular season and playoffs. They donate $12 million every year for the privilege of airing live footage from the handful of WNBA dumps across America. Let's look at this logically. You're paying out the ass to broadcast professional hockey, a league that features the best of the best, the top hockey players in the world. Me personally, I think $400 million, far too much for the NHL when they're delivering less than 400,000 viewers. But how much of that decline in the ratings has to do with the lack of promotion from ESPN? At least with the NHL, you have the chance at getting a return on your investment. Then you have the WNBA dump. What is ESPN getting in return for their $12 million? They receive a nice tax write-off for donating to charity. They get the opportunity to shock the world by displaying the first woman with a hairy back. But once you've seen the first hairy-backed beauty, you've seen them all. Eventually, the shock factor wears off. What else? People get to see exciting airball dunks on a 6-foot rim, pretend basketball players trying to run a pick and roll, and on the off chance they actually ring the basket, their opponent receives 2 points because they targeted the wrong goal. If ESPN was an actual business, if they were truly the worldwide leader in sports, which league would they be promoting? The league you're paying $400 million for, or the charity you're donating $12 million to? The answer is obvious. But you see, ESPN is not a business. They are not the worldwide leader in sports. They are the worldwide leader in woke. To their credit, or I guess I should say to their own demise, the NHL's tried to prove they can spank the wanker with the best of them. For us normal people, we look at this like, It's an even woke playing field. NHL, woke. WNBA, woke. ESPN is supposedly dedicated to equity. The equitable thing to do would be to promote both leagues evenly, right? But once again, you cannot look at this situation through the eyes of a normal person. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to grab your woke hats so we can properly analyze this scenario through the eyes of a shit fuck. All right, we have both leagues dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The NHL sponsors transgender hockey tournaments. The WNBA appears to be a transgender league. The NHL organizes Pride Nights throughout the season. The WNBA scouts future talent at Pride parades across the country, also known as the WNBA Championship Parade. The woke playing field seems even, right? Two woke leagues proudly spanking the wanker. But the WNBA, the NHL, they are not even. No. You see, the NHL is filled with evil white men. The WNBA is filled with defenseless victims. People like Bob Griner, who played in a system so oppressive, she was forced to travel to Russia to earn a livable wage. If she was being paid the reparations she was entitled to, she would have never spent months in a Russian prison. The WNBA is filled with women who deal with mythical misogyny. Those bastards in the NHL, they have chartered flights. The victims in the WNBA, they have chartered buses if they're lucky. I heard a tragic story last summer where a team of WNBA dunk divers had to travel to their next game using the method preferred by worshippers of the oak tree: feet. Flatulence was the only carbon emissions emitted during that road trip. The WNBA is dedicated to saving the earth one fart at a time. From a business perspective, a pure business perspective, it makes absolutely no sense why ESPN would promote the WNBA over the NHL. Could you imagine if Stephen A. Smith had said the WNBA doesn't count? There would be outrage throughout the mainstream media. ESPN would probably suspend him. But when he says the NHL doesn't count, it's silence in the media, and ESPN gives him a nice pat on the ass. If I were the NHL, I would want to be as far away from ESPN as possible. Unfortunately, they are locked into this marriage for the next 5 years. ESPN treats the NHL like an afterthought, but that's okay. That's okay. They make up for it by giving you plenty of exciting footage from the WNBA dump. But give me your thoughts. Stephen A. Smith claims the NHL doesn't count. The NHL doesn't count on ESPN, but the WNBA obviously does. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. See you guys tomorrow.